Wingman Joker, thank you for listening to this channel and please support the channel. Please subscribe. Chapter 415, At the Sun Temple. Victor slowly walked through the Sun Temple's grounds looking around like a tourist with some very bad intentions. Thankfully no one could see him. It was not apparent from the outside. But the temple was huge, extending a few miles behind many of the stores on the main street which probably belonged to the temple in its entirety. From what Victor could see, this place was composed of several different buildings and training grounds that were scattered around its premises. And there seemed to be many young acolytes and the likes running around doing chores or whatever temple stuff they do. And yes, this temple only employed males. They seemed a little busy, probably thanks to all the mess in town. Looking around, Victor sighed. He was interested in inspecting all those buildings but he didn't have the time. He already knew where to go. Following the tracking thread of the dragon bone that was around here, he left the main pathway, turning into a seemingly deserted courtyard near a large, ominous-looking building with very tight hidden security. The sign on its entrance read the words, Discipline Hall, which were painted with blood on a tar-black background. And yes, Victor could now perfectly read this world language after asking the elf girls about it. It was very similar to a language he knew in his previous life, just requiring minor modifications. Giving the area around one last look, he passed right by the oblivious guards and then casually entered the gloomy building that was even gloomier on the inside. The stone entrance hall was devoid of any decorations. It was composed of a single table in the center where an old man in dirty robes sat behind it snoozing. All around him, there was a myriad of identical-looking firmly shot steel doors. Was this old man, who was definitely a hidden expert, the receptionist? Lemon Callie. Level 109. Class Torture Master. Bloodline Human. Fate D. Most likely not. Ignoring him, Victor turned around and began to search for where to go. He was wiser than to wake a sleeping old man. The Nutcracker was not interested in old expired nuts. Now where was that thread again? Right there. It passed right in between two doors and pointed downward. Victor paused. Go right or left? Whatever. He casually shifted through the right door without opening it. Behind it, there was a long corridor winding downwards. He followed it, ignoring a few snoozing guards. After a series of locked doors, he soon reached a dungeon corridor with a row of cells on both sides. Inside of them, many prisoners were thrown in groups. They wore nothing and their bodies were full of blood, yet strangely they didn't talk or moan, but just sat in their places and looked with unfocused eyes to the walls. Victor frowned as he appraised a few of them. None had any strange status windows, just your normal citizens with normal classes and levels. Why were they here? Looking around he noticed a sign that read, Do not touch the demons. Keep the demons in their suppression chains at all times. Those guys were demons. No, they were possessed by demons. Around their necks, Victor finally noticed the strange metal collars. Inverted gold 5 elements, locking enchanted collar, B. Lock soul in body. As if to affirm Victor's guess, a young guard suddenly opened the dungeon's door and entered, passing right beside Victor without noticing him. The moment the guard entered, the demons, as if some kind of a key was pressed, began moaning and begging. Please let us go. We are innocent. Mommy. Where's my mommy? Wah. It was a really heartbreaking scene. The guard just spat, throwing some dried moldy loaves of bread at the demons from in between the bars before turning in. Leaving. The moment he left, the demons attacked the bread, eating it before they went again into their energy-saving mode. It was super creepy. Victor sighed, giving this place a last look, deciding to leave before he paused. If he were to see demons outside, would he really be able to identify them? This had been a problem that he was thinking about. With Yin tasked to accompany Lara, he really had no method to identify demons. The Sun Temple guys seemed to be using some kind of artifact that he noticed them using outside. It was a kind of compass that they held right over a person's head for a few minutes to take a test. From his appraisal, he found out that what it tested was the compatibility between the body and the soul, which seemed to be very bad with possessed people. Although he planned to steal some of those, he needed something more versatile, as it would not always be possible to test everyone, especially if he wanted to do this in secret. He was not sure if this would be able to find high-level demons just like Caspian in his world. They might have ways to hide their presence. Wait. Demons might have some way to identify each other, or they would never be able to work together and they would most likely be infiltrated. Shouldn't his demonic bloodline have that ability? Although it was not fully awakened, he might be able to do something. Victor slowly activated his disguise to hide his bloodline completely, and then he started activating his primordial demonic blood, making it just affect his eyes, which slowly turned deep black like bottomless holes. It worked. Looking at the demons, it was as if he could see it. Behind every one of them, there was a shadow. No, not exactly a shadow, but a residual image like a chromatic fringing of a lousy TV screen that seemed to be reflecting different shapes when it flickers periodically. In the fringing, some of those guys looked like insects and animals, others looked like strange abominations. Those were the demons' true form. One of them stood out. Hiding in between this group of demons there was an old woman who was completely blending in with the others. It is just that the shadow behind her seemed to be a little off. Just a tiny bit. It was as if the colors were a little dull. Focusing on her, Victor frowned. It was as if she was not real. Activating his appraisal, the old woman's fringe disappeared and her shape slowly changed into that of a young woman and Latra Orpak, level 109. Class, Disguise Master, Bloodline, Shadow Elf 90%, Demon Catcher Chameleon 10%. Fate, oh, the temple even inserted a spy here. Victor almost exclaimed. He had no idea that a disguise could be used in this way. Not bad. If he had time he would have really wanted to have a chat with this girl and maybe discuss some very intimate things, but she seemed busy, so Victor decided to leave it for now. If destiny willed it, they would meet again. He turned and left, deciding that his target was in the other door after all. On his way back he wondered. Could it be that he was wrong? Wasn't the temple working for the demons? Damn it, he should really stop suspecting everyone around. The world couldn't be that shitty of a place. Reaching the hallway again, he ignored the sleeping old man and entered the left door, before going down the stairs behind it. This time it was not a dungeon, but a long corridor with what seemed like interrogation chambers on both sides. Most of them were empty and this was to be expected. Trying to interrogate a demon was as fruitless as giving a dildo a blowjob. You would get nothing except for a very dry mouth, a tired tongue, and a bad aftertaste. He had no idea why he thought of that image, but a certain girl had been affecting him in some very bad way. Shaking his head, Victor slowly walked toward the last chamber where the thread pointed. This chamber was not empty as it was being guarded by two high-level Sun Temple guards that Victor completely ignored as he shifted through the closed door. Inside he found his target. An old priest with a clean-shaven face expert for a pointy beard was integrating an injured haggard fat blonde elf who was sitting on a wooden chair with his hands tied to a table. His wounds didn't seem to be the result of torture, but of some fight that he must have had before coming here. I told you, I am not a demon. And I don't work for them. The elf exclaimed. You guys follow the Sun Lord like us, the Sun Elves. You can't treat me like this. I am a prince. Then answer truthfully, Your Highness. What was your aim in grabbing this dragon bone? The old man interrupted, pointing to the bone that was placed on a velveted cloth on the table between them. I told you already. I need it for something private. The elf refused to answer. It is a kingdom secret, he added. He was lying, Victor could easily tell, and so did the priest. What is it? As far as I know, only demons or those who work with forbidden undead arts need such bones. The old priest said. You are definitely up to no good. No, they can be used for medicine. The elf prince slipped and quickly caught himself and stopped talking. What medicine? The priest's eyes twinkled the same as Victor's. Medicine recipes for dragon ingredients were as rare and precious as the ingredients themselves. I can't tell you that. The elf looked to the side stubbornly. Look, I am trying to help you here. Back at the auction, you collaborated with a demon to get this thing. I didn't know he was a demon. And we only fought that wolf prince together. The elf flared. That's not cooperation. The priest sighed again. Let's see if you can remain this stubborn after spending a few days here, he said as he stood up and grabbed the bone, putting it in his ring. You can't do that to me. I am a royal prince. The elf flared. Tell that to Master Lemon, the priest said as he headed to the door. See you later, Prince Massel. Hearing his name, the elf's expression changed. I never told you my name, he said, making the old man pause. Oh, I might have heard it from somewhere, the old priest said as he began to turn the knob. I didn't use it since leaving the kingdom. You never intended to let me go, didn't you? The prince, who had been acting meekly until now, suddenly said with a sharp tone. Seemingly realizing something. Did my sister contact you? He asked with sharp cold eyes that gave off the air of a real prince. Quote. Finally showing some teeth. The old priest shrugged, not denying it. I will come to visit you in a few days, hopefully, your strong will be shattered by then, he said with a smirk as he walked out, not noticing the one who slipped out before him. Stop, The elf prince's voice was muted as the steel door closed with a bang. The priest turned and then felt something strike his head. He fell down unconscious as Victor, who stood behind him, looked at him with disgust. Around this guy, there was a distorted outline shadow of a three-headed wolf, but unlike the others below, this distortion was as if it were a part of the body moving completely in sync. This guy was definitely a high-ranking demon. Ellipsis. Quote exclamation mark. SSIHO mo. HI, the vampire screamed. It was not one of those handsome vampires one can see in TV shows, but a true vampire with an old ugly bat face that had a twisted nose and curved nightmarish fangs. Shut up. How dare you talk to this empress with that tone? The girl said, slapping the poor vampire boss again. And again with her jade fist. Now come clear, where is the hidden door? Quote question mark. SOS no PPO, he asked hatefully. What the fuck was going on? Wasn't he supposed to be a mighty vampire baron? How the hell did he end up tied like this? All he remembers was sleeping peacefully a few centuries ago after getting locked up here, then waking up after sensing some intruders entering the dungeon. But for some strange reason when he woke up he was shackled in a silver chain, and this crazy veiled girl was standing above him with very sadistic looking eyes. They almost made him voluntarily want to grovel under her feet if he was not tied like a dumpling. Just a little exploit one can use when entering the dungeon. I am not going to spend 5 months reaching this area as my stupid sister did, she said, slapping him so hard that his face was pushed into the ground. It was humiliating. Quote question mark. SSM. You will never get to meet her, she is just your type, the girl said absent-mindedly. Now where is it? She asked. He glared at her. His guards should be here any second now. Once they freed him, he was going to show this girl who was the real boss. He might even turn her into his toy. I don't like the way you are looking at me, the girl said. Slap slap slap. Quote exclamation mark. OS, he yelled. Why aren't his men coming? They should have been here 5 minutes ago. Looking around he noticed a few talismans around the room. Isolation talismans. Slap slap slap. If you have time to look around you can answer my question. She spat, giving him a kick. Quote exclamation mark. Not you, no sop uos, he screamed. This bitch had come prepared. Damn it, his minions are definitely still asleep as they could not hear his calling. His only hope was that some of her companions whom he felt earlier would trigger some trap and wake the guardians up. Don't get your hopes up. My guys would never make a stupid mistake and wake up your men, the girl, as if reading his mind, smirked and said. If they did that after all my warnings, I would flay them alive. She was not kidding. Woo, bang, bang, bang. From outside the large chamber doors, someone came knocking, refuting the girls. Damn it, the girl cursed. Quote exclamation mark. PPS no. He said. Slap slap slap. Bang bang. Slap slap slap. The door kept banging as the girl kept slapping the vampire as if to relieve her anger. Quote question mark. HOSOOIHM, the vampire finally asked with a swollen face. Don't worry, it can't be opened due to time dilation, she said coldly. Now, come on, where is the hidden door to the basement where your dead master kept his body? If I don't get it before killing you and ending this dungeon, the world would destroy it. The girl said. Quote question mark. Nako no sapo, he frowned and asked, giving the unmoving door one last look. Damn it, slap slap slap. VIWI. Slap slap slap. Quote I. Slap slap slap. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. HOO, do I really have to do that? Lily sighed. She seemed reluctant. Quote question mark. HMO. HMIS. Drink, pervert, she said, taking a flask of wine from her ring, and then shoving it in his mouth. He didn't want to drink at first, but this wine tasted amazing. And he always had a fantasy of a girl shoving drinks in his mouth like this. No wait. Quote exclamation mark. WWNHSO, he snapped as soon as the flask was empty. He was feeling a little tipsy, but as a noble vampire, he can never truly get drunk. Then I have no choice, the girl said as she slowly removed her veil. The vampire's eyes contracted as he lost his non-existent breath. Can a girl be this pretty? That was the last straight thing he could think about. Now, tell me what you know, and I may just step on your head, she said with genuine disgust that made him shiver.